It's Adams here on behalf of Apex Trader Funding, and I'm here today with Trader Ray. Ray is a paid funded trader with Apex Trader Funding, and of course, gives us the opportunity to chat, hear a little bit about his story. Ray, thanks for hanging out with me a little bit this morning. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here with such a celebrity in the futures trading world.
You're too kind. I do appreciate that, man. So first and foremost, let's get a little context here. Is this your first payout that you just received that got us on here, or did it just take you a while to reach out?
Yeah, this is my first payout after several attempts at some PA accounts. I was finally able to develop a system that's consistent and then finally got a payout.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I look, I know what a big milestone it is. If you have followed me, you know this has taken me decades, but once you get there, man, there is just such a different place to be.
Yeah.
So for you, as you've gone through this journey now how did you actually get into trading in the first place?
One of the things that I tell a lot of people is if during the pandemic, when we were all locked in the house, if you didn't learn a new skill or learn how to do something, whether it be cooking or yard work or something, you kind of wasted that time. And during the pandemic, my two daughters were born, and I had to get out the house. We were stuck in the house, and I had to get out the house. So when I would go for walks, I said, hey, I've always wanted to learn about the stock market. And so we would just go for a walk, down the street, and I would just listen to just different content, just explaining like the basics of the stock market. And so I actually got started in trading with trading options, and I did that for a couple of years, and it makes sense, and it was fun. I made some money, I lost some money, and it was fun. But then I started getting hit with those pattern day trading barriers, and so that's when I started looking into, okay, well, what can I trade without having $25,000 in an account? And so that kind of led me to futures, and I like the way that futures were different than options. Futures, they're not a decaying asset. The price moves regardless of the time of the day. It's going to be, it's going to be profit and loss at the same amount. And so I liked futures. I liked that it didn't have those PDT rules, and so I started paper trading them a little bit. Yeah, that's how I got started in.
So when you were trading options, I presume you were trading your own funds. I don't think options funding existed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was just money that I had saved up, just from bonuses that I got from work, or just some spending money that I had. I would try it out, and it's like any typical trader that first starts out. You see the price going up, you think, oh, it's just going to keep going up. So I click buy, and a couple of times it went up, and I made $500 in a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, and I said, oh, this is pretty easy. And then I kept doing that, and realized how easy it isn't when when the account was blown a few times. So I knew I needed some guidance on how to do options correctly, and then certainly just kind of just similar thing with futures. I just know that I needed some guidance on how to do that correctly too.
Now, when you transitioned into funding, because obviously at some point you were trading futures, did you see funding right away, or had you traded a little on your own before that came into play?
Yeah, same thing. I heard about prop firms, but I was new to it because there are no prop firms like Apex, like in the options world or the stock. I mean, there are like actual proprietary firms where they hire you, things like that, but nothing like for like us retail traders there. So I was trading, again, just my own capital. Like I said, just money that I had saved up. I'm also into real estate, and so I sold one of my properties, and I set aside a little bit of money, just to dabble into futures, just my own capital. And then once I learned about prop firms, I saw the incredible opportunity to leverage, and also just like the learning curve that I needed. Had I used my own money, for the journey that I had been on, my wife might have done some damage to me. So
sure. And I've used that example so many times. Really and truly, when we're self-funded, we've got a couple of shots, maybe, particularly for the married folk, because there's somebody else that's in the mix that maybe doesn't see things the same way or doesn't have the same expectations. At some point, obviously, you started trading with Apex. Did you notice a difference in the way that you handled yourself in a trade when you were trading funded versus trading your own?
It felt a bit more free, when and losses didn't hurt as bad, but they still hurt, right? Because I wanted to win. I'm a competitive person. I hate losing. Even to this day, like when I lose a trade, like I fight the urge to not go revenge trade and get all that back and then some. And so, but at least trading with prop firms has helped me to have a much longer on ramp to becoming a consistent trader, because of the leverage, because I'm able to, to try again without having to fully fund another account with my own money.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about your education and how you developed yourself as a trader. Now, did you go the, YouTube, I'm going to figure this out route? Did you hire a mentor? Did you join a group? What did that look like for you?
So at first, I took some of the strategy that I learned from options, just like support and resistance levels, and just identifying those on different time frames. And then I did go through, just watched a ton of content on YouTube, and then learned about bear flags and bull flag movement, the 15-minute opening ranges, and there are tons of strategies that were out there. But what helped me and what's helping me now just be consistently profitable is I watched a video from this show, I don't know, maybe in November or December, where Lachlan Ellsworth from Samurai Day Trading, he spoke about just the success that some of his students were having with his program. And at that point I was desperate. I was like, listen, I will learn from anybody. If they have a strategy that's working, I just want to know how to do it right. And so I joined his live trading room, and I just consumed literally all of the content that he has on his website about trading with Fibonacci levels, looking for efficiency in the market. So if you have a candle that is twice the size of another candle but with less volume, that is a sign of of strength in a particular direction. And he has a ton of different indicators and algorithms that he has, but just the fundamentals of just kind of understanding where a market could be going based on momentum shifts has really helped me. And so I owe a lot of that to you, but also to Laki for kind of giving me just a smarter way to trade, to know when to get in and when to get out. And that was another challenge I had is, I would hold on to a trade too long when it had gone into profit, and I probably should have taken profit at a certain level, but wanting to get a little bit more higher P&L, but
Sure.
Understanding that, hey, there's a Fibonacci level there where you might find resistance and maybe get a short-term reversal, or even just a complete reversal in the market. And so that was super helpful for me.
What have you felt as far as your understanding of the markets and how they move? How have you seen yourself grow into the point where you're now seeing profitability and payout?
I do see that the thing I love about the futures market is it, even if we do have days I think it was yesterday, actually the last 2 days, the market had moved up to almost 3%, in a day. But even within the day, there are pullbacks within those days. There are gaps that want to get tested. And so I'm a lot more patient and a lot more strategic. If I see the market going down, I'm able to ask myself, well, why is it going down? Did it reach a particular level? Is it trying to close, a fair value gap, or, did it hit a Fibonacci and it's reversing, or is this just a temporary pullback? And the great thing is that you can do that when the market is bearish or bullish. I trade mostly NASDAQ, and just knowing that there's patterns that you see, and if a trend is just skyrocketing, I'm able to now just kind of sit back and just let it do what it wants to do, and then I look for some structure and then try to take advantage of whatever structure the market will show me at that time. So it's a lot of psychology that I had to develop there, and I think that's probably the next phase. Is I know what to do and I know when to be patient. It's just actually controlling the emotions enough, and then kind of looking at the chart and saying, man, I could have made so much money if I would have just gotten in here, and then just being okay, well, look, there's always a trade. There's always a trade. You don't have to jump on every trade. Yeah, and then just resisting that temptation to jump into bad trades, that don't fit.
And you talk about patience. To me, I think patience comes from confidence, and I think confidence comes from having a deeper understanding of the why behind why the market moves. I mean, so many people out there, and nothing against indicator traders, but I think that if someone basically steps away from the idea of understanding why and just looking for that signal, that's where you start to get into trouble. Not so much that the signal doesn't work, but that you don't have the confidence of that understanding to stay true to what it is that you're shooting for. And I know I've experienced that in my journey many times, and really the only thing that brought me out of that was developing a deeper understanding of price action movement, the whys, at least the whys that make sense to me. I think there's a million people out there that would disagree with some of my theories or how I see trading. Sure. However, what works for me works for me. What works for you works for you. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this industry is there's no one size fits all. You find what works for you, stick with it, and go get really good at it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I had to understand too. too is what works for me is not 100% going to work. And so I have to be comfortable that I'll take a loss. And if I'm not comfortable taking that loss, then I need to sit out of the trade. Or if I'm not emotionally ready to take this loss, then I probably just need to walk away from the laptop and go do something else. Everybody's strategy has a percentage of the time that it's going to lose. And on any given trade, you could be in a percentage that's going to win or the percentage that's going to lose. And you just have to be comfortable with that risk. So
that's maturity in trading right there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Ray, I'm so glad to hear about your accomplishment with your first payout. I know this will be the first of many. I can hear in your voice the level of excitement that you have, which is obviously not unnatural at this moment, but there's a certainty that comes from just getting to that first threshold. So I wish you all the congratulations in the world, and I want to continue to see that growth and development. So I'd love to catch back up another month or two down the line, see how everything's continuing to grow for you, if that sounds good.
Let's do it, man. I'll make time in my schedule for it.
I appreciate it. Well, keep me posted. We'll catch up soon, okay?
All right. Thanks.